Hi, Shalini.
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurue Namah. These lines completely explains the beautiful bond and relationship between the Guru and Shishya that we celebrate in India. And today, when I'm just sitting with my gurus and mentors and the gurus of the gurus, there could be nothing better that I could think of to start this particular episode with both of them.
Thank you so much.
So, hello, good evening, and a very, very warm welcome to everyone in this another exciting and enlightening episode of the ancient Indian wisdom in transformational coaching. And before I begin, let me introduce myself. I am Shalini Juneja. I'm a host for this particular episode, and I am an ICF Certified PCC Coach and NLP Practitioner by Dr. Richard Bandler, working in the education and training industry for 23 years and helping people in serving as a business and life coach for last 9 years. I came and met sir and ma'am around 4 years, 4 to 5 years. And I just joined them to complete my PCC certification. But since then, whatever I have received from both of them was more than I could ever expect. Now, to tell anything about them is like we call it, in Hindi, Suraj ko diya dikhana. So their accomplishments and their success stories and their wisdom is too vast. But just to introduce them for those who haven't met them so far, I would just quickly say a few things that they are the co-directors of InnerMost Shift Coaching Model. They are the ICF MCC coaches and mentor coaches, Dr. Richard Bandler's licensed trainers for NLP practitioner, certified in Master Goldsmith Stakeholder Centered Coaching, and Success Principles trainer by Jack and Field, Kundali Yoga trainer, and a lot more. I mean, the list is never ending. So, and when I was just looking forward for this particular episode, I was just going through that whatever the two wonderful books that you have written, and I could really trying to see that what all I can just get. And I just found something very interesting that caught my attention. There you've mentioned in your uh, that you have just read a lot of Vedas, Upanishads, and then ancient wisdom, and that gave you very rich insight, but also generated deep curiosity about sthit pragya, a state of equilibrium, and that caught my attention, this particular word. And I was just looking forward that how can you just throw more light to this? What is that, sir?
Okay.
If you would like to initiate.
Now, yeah, if you dissect the word, and there could be audience who's not from India, sthit means like to stir, to like stop and stable, and like motionless, rooted, grounded. Okay, plugged into, you can say. Now, these are the words we can say, and pagna means that ultimate wisdom. Okay, so when you hold yourself in that space of ultimate wisdom, like you were in the beginning paying respect to gurus, and I believe with Anand philosophy is only one supreme guru, and there is only one revealer of all truth. So we we were paying our homage, our respect to that guru. So because we believe that there can be one ultimate then. So if you look into the whole revolution in this world, everything has been revealed. We can't get that. Okay, it can be given. So these are many words in Indian philosophy and Indian practices that grazed upon. So the grace, and we have reframed it in our model that allowing, okay, letting in, okay, receiving or becoming awakened. So this word, this pragna means that if you hold yourself in the space of ultimate existence, then the wisdom that dawns upon you is enlightening and it settles down everything. So this is the word that is used in Indian scripture, Indian sciences, in Gita and otherwise too. Okay. And we all look for, because to become stable and peaceful, we have to rest upon something very stable and unchangeable. Okay. If we rest upon something which is changeable, then it's relatively we are in motion. We cannot be sit, we cannot be at peace. Okay. So that's what this word holds the whole mystery actually. Right. So in relationship to something stable only, our motion and what can be done in the backdrop of that can be understood. Okay, so that's the true meaning of this
So,
word.
so that's the state of equilibrium. That that's
Yes.
how we explain that.
Yeah, being in motion and then still in the stillness. Okay, while in the motion. Okay.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, so I was, and ma'am, one thing that I would want you to, just answer this, that when I was just, reading, there is a very, very interesting statement that I could read in that every outcome is the result of the response you give or action you take. If you do not like the outcome, you must review the response. And I just
Mhm.
love this, and I really want you to explain it more to our viewers. I'm sure they would also love the explanation.
I think it's a very beautiful statement. Most of the time, most of the time when we are getting an outcome, that's a normal human nature we have built with a lot of learnings. And I wouldn't say all of us, but many of us have, where we, if the outcome is coming and if it's not up to the mark, we tend to blame everything outside. This was not correct, situation was not good, people did not support me, whatever is the situation. Instead of that, if we look at this, the statement that if you're not getting the outcome, then you will have to check our own actions at what we are doing, because the outcome is a result of your own actions, right? So whatever we have done, it's produced the action. Whether we are talking in relationship, we are talking of your own targets, we are talking of any kind of relationship to a human being, to the work, to your own self. So if I'm sitting and I'm not working out and I keep eating, and my job calls for it that okay, I'm sitting 8 hours and I don't go home and I don't practice yoga, or I don't walk, or I don't do any pranayam, then the outcome is what my body is today. Right. So it's like personal to personal. So if I start blaming, I have a job which is 8 hours, it is all sitting job, I don't have time, I go back home, I have to work. So outside when you blame, then we cannot change this. But if I look at it in a way, okay, so it's my body, I have to take care of it. Then even if I'm working for 8 hours, what can I do when I go back home? Taking out 10, 15 minutes, what do I do? Or even if I'm sitting, what do I do instead of taking a lift? If I can go up the floors, how can I walk? Or maybe take a round. So I don't know how people do it. So it's all about understanding that what kind of actions you are taking is the outcome you're getting. So if you're not getting the outcome, then we need to observe the actions and change according to the outcome that we need. So that the onus shifts on you. The whole onus is about you. It's about you are doing. It's about what you are doing. It is never outside. So once we are able to do that, and that's what also the ancient Indian wisdom always tells that, it's about when you're getting a result, it's your actions and how you measure it by the outcome that you're getting it. So if we can really live by it and we can imbibe it, I think we'll stop playing the blame game outside, because it is never outside,
That
right?
we
You're always
usually
doing
do.
it at your own will and that we usually do, right?
Usually
Okay.
do.
So I think it's a
Because
very, very beautiful statement just to apply it back into our lives.
right,
Mm.
so because this is something that I could see that it happens with all of us. That whenever the results are not coming, we just start to look around. things are not happening, why they are not happening, I'm trying my best. And then we never look back to our own actions and how are we responding to that particular thing. And if we really go back to see our own responses and actions, and then we can really see the difference. So I really wanted you to explain that for the
Absolutely.
viewers. So this is something really wonderful. Thank you, ma'am, for explaining that.
Thank
So now the another thing that I just looking towards, as you say that the I was reading that the true leadership is all about creating excellence in self and others. And this is something really that touched my heart. and and as in the this interactional excellence model, you have both of you have mentioned that how it is all about interacting to create some excellence. And also there is a statement which is very very beautiful, that interactional excellence is as much a science as it is an art. And I would
mm,
really
mm.
want you to explain for the viewers how it is a
Yeah.
science and how it is an art.
Okay. Let me put it this way, and I'll pick up the clue what Siri just stated, and you asked that um, we can review our action if the outcome is not there. See, either way, when you act, some outcome would be there. It may not be that what you're looking for. And when you say that excellence is about creating leadership is about creating excellence in ourselves and others, and here is what something great from the ancient wisdom. You know that if you look into the whole evolution, and you will find very contrary things, that even if I am good, it doesn't mean I will create good. It's not necessary. So there are several characters in our history whose father has been the demon like, and the child like Prahlad, okay, was very innocent. Okay. Then the mother like Kakari, who is jealous, has a very compassionate Bharat, who's not relenting, despite mother is trying best. Now think that, likewise, what we do may not necessarily find in others, but the excellence is that still learning to find a way in others, which means, most leaders sometimes become role model. Well, if I will come on time and if I will perform, the people will perform. Now, your doing something will not necessarily make others perform like you. So this is good for yourself because you can excel. Now, what is interaction excellence? That means being doing. I'm the role model doesn't mean others will take it up. So I have to interact with them, and I have the only tool of interaction with them. So I must know how to interact so that they act in the direction. Now, this is true leadership. Okay. Now, I myself can become good, but doesn't mean I will create good just by becoming good. So, like Vivekananda, who's the great Indian ancient wisdom ambassador and a leader both, he very clearly says that if you are good for yourself, you're good for nothing. I mean, he isolates the thing that you're becoming good for yourself has no meaning for me until you create one good around you. Now, creating good is a Herculean task. Becoming good is much easier. Okay, so true leadership is not about I have become good. I have to create
Mhm.
conditions that others connect with their true self and become good. And you have one tool with you, only one tool, your interaction, nothing else. Okay, so your being and becoming is no guarantee, but your interaction can create. Okay,
Right.
and
You mean to
so
say
that's
that
true
that
leadership.
one needs to be very artful in communicating to people so that they get what you really want to communicate, and then just can it can bring the best from them. Is that so?
If I heard you correctly, you said tactful, and I want to replace that with
Artful.
interactful. Okay, so being tactful will not help. Interact fully. Okay, so
Hmm.
leave no
No, I
option
didn't
of
say tactful. I
choices
said
to interact.
artful. When you say it is an art,
Yeah,
Artful.
so
artful.
I
Art.
said
Art.
artful.
Okay, so
Art.
yeah, so that let me not touch that part because that's the second part you asked. You know, if there is a static object before us, let's say ball, and we hit the ball, now we can still estimate that how far this ball will land if I hit this ball and in which direction it will move. So by some calculation, we can, estimate the trajectory of the ball, distance of the ball, speed of the ball if I hit. Because ball is static. But human being, if I hit, I do not know in which direction they will land. Okay. Now you have to be very, very scientific and also the strategic, okay, artful and scientific both. And that's where the interactional excellence will, get the result. And with if I'm totally strategic and I'm totally rational and I estimate, well, if I talk to Shalini, Shalini will talk to me good. This is a very straight science, but I do not know. I talk to Shalini. Shalini may behave either way. Okay, so it's like a wave happening in the minds of people. When you stand near the ocean and there are waves coming in, what happens? We sometimes estimate that this wave is very peaceful and very gentle, but it sweeps away your things. And then you find a gigantic turbulent wave when it subsides just on the way. So what does a surfer do? Surfer is full of artful and scientific in the approach to surf over the riding waves. So a good leader has to be in their interaction, both scientific and artful. So just by thinking that
So I
I
think if I
will
can just
do good
add
will
to
get
that,
me good.
Yes, ma'am.
yes. So I think when you say it's a science and an art, when you're talking of interactional excellence, to my mind, what I mean by science is steps. You have steps, you have strategy. So you have a sequence. So when we talk of interactional excellence, we are talking of the competencies, we're talking of an active listener, we're talking of insightfully understanding and then questioning and having that ability to create that whole space. So they're very scientific steps when you're doing an interactional excellence. Though many leaders see, because it has been all drawn from the people who are very, very successful in life, and they have a strategy, but when you keep working on a strategy it becomes an art. You don't further remember the steps, but it goes into your system and you just follow it at a very unconscious level, which people feel that you are doing it very consciously, but actually it's like an art. So science is, an art is something like, if you've seen the bikers when they bike, and if they when they do racing, if you're really seeing them, you will actually find no difference in the bike and the person. They are moving it as if the whole piece has become one, right? When you learn music, you are learning saregama, but when you start playing, it's an art. You just flow with it. Similarly, in interaction excellence, once you understand the whole steps of becoming competent, of understanding the other person, helping them to grow to the next level, and also making them equally competent, when your interaction is a piece of excellence at every moment, and it also gets the excellence in the other person, it becomes an art, right? That's what is my learning about interactional excellence, how it's a science and how it's an art.
So wonderfully explained. So, and I think this is, whatever you just explained is really going to be a big help for the viewers, the people who are really, watching or maybe, watch the recordings. And this is something, the essence of the, in fact, a lot of coaches who are watching this will really get a big help of how it is a science and how it is an art. Wonderful. So, so another question that, it was like popping in my mind out of the book, this interactional excellence only, that you mentioned the 10 essentials, you know, that build the yogic presence. and which are like required. In that, when we mention competency, how would you define that competency as the essential thing, one of the essentials in that particular part?
Okay. Now, this is where it will connect to your earlier question that I must be thorough with everything that I am trying to attempt with other people. So I must check my competency before I'm trying to solve somebody's issue. That can I really? In the context of coaching, does it mean is if we imbibe from the ancient wisdom that am I competent to handle whatever this person has asked me or come before me, and what does it mean? Your experiences may not be of that degree and level to the degree and level the other person could be wanting to touch it. So my first competency has to be that I, if the person is thinking beyond my capacity, beyond my perceptual level, it doesn't mean the person is incompetent or stupid or is not thinking wise. So my competency to allow other people's competency to shine out. Okay, and that is how the world progress. So you could be much faster, much quicker, much better, much wider in your thought process than I could be ever. So this competence. Next is for the issue they are trying to get addressed. Do you really, can you, or you can say, really, I really can't help you here. I have really no idea how to go about here. That like giving a space. Like for example, I will take in the context of the parents and the kids. If let's say kid has done something wrong in exam, kid is going through misery or inexactive has failed terribly in a deal and going through a lot of turmoil. Now that time they could be needing a space to vent, to go through it. In Indian wisdom, it's called paschatapa. It doesn't mean they're regretting over, but they're regressing over. So there is a word difference between regretting and regressing. And in that regression, they need you to listen and let them and not solve it. Right? So if you listen and let them, if you don't have this competency and the person is approaching you and you're trying to directly give a solution which could be in your mind much wiser, I think you're not competent to handle the situation, right? So we have to be very aware of the how the wisdom is guiding us. Okay, so let them go through that little pain they are wanting. Give them space enough and trust them. Like for example, parents become very panicked. My kid would fail. Let them fail. Let them fail a bit to think about that. What do they think after failure? How do they prepare? Rather than thinking, what about if my kid fail, then he will not, she will not get good marks, then she will get so much of remarks from bullied by their colleagues, teacher would give it, and eventually they will not succeed in life. So the parents are not competent now, okay, to let the kid develop and work on themselves. So being competent has many dimensions to it, okay. Apart from this, that yes, being able to live those virtues which
Right.
magnify your presence. Hmm? So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that's
And
how.
I think the competencies that we talk about, that ICF talks about, right? So I think those are the competencies, as you have also explained, that the integrity part, the listening part, the all those competencies are very very important for in this coaching field. And before, without those competencies, I guess one cannot move ahead. And that's what the whole message, the
Yeah.
whole idea about it,
True, absolutely.
right?
So in the context of coaching, the one has to be have the coaching competency. And I
Yes.
explain from the context of any competency and we talk about in interactional
And would you
excellence.
like to add anything to this?
I think he's already mentioned. I think for me, it's a very simple word. Are you competent to handle a situation? Are you competent to be a coach? There are many people who come across and they says, I want to just work it for my own self. I don't want to help others because that's not my area of interest. That's perfectly all right. And then if that person goes and tries to help, then obviously you've not developed your competency to that level of, where you're on wanting to give it to the people. So it's a very simple word in terms of creating your own competencies if you're wanting to be a coach, and using that competency, helping others to move to the next level, making them competent, equally when you're doing with that. Right.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The time is running fast, but then I would really like to ask one more question since it is like, something we don't want to, get to the end. So, as you've been working in this field for over 3 decades, and you've got a lot of wisdom and so much of certifications, and then you have just created this wonderful model of innermost shift coaching, and now this when we're talking about this interactional excellence and so much. I would really want if you can just share any one story or incidents out of your the coaching practice where you could really create some major transformation in a client through this, the Indian wisdom and the interactional excellence that we are just talking about. Am I audible, sir? Ma'am, can you hear me? I think there is
Okay.
something wrong.
Yeah, I
uh,
think, yeah. So the internet went, yeah, in the internet went. Probably the question was too
okay.
deeper, Shalini. You might just ask again. We missed it, right? So just
Okay.
ask the question
Okay.
again,
So I
please.
just quickly ask my question, that since you've been working for over 3 decades, and you've got so much of wisdom and certifications and a lot of work you've done with people, so I would just, if you can, would like you to share any particular story from your, any of your client, where you could really create big transformation out of this ancient Indian wisdom, or maybe interactional excellence, or anything that, for our viewers also, any story we would love to hear.
Yeah, I think there are many, since we are also like coaching and training people. So I
Ma'am, I
have
can't
I've
see
been
your
coaching one
face.
of the CEOs of the
Huh?
okay, so I
The camera
can
direction,
I'm
due to the camera direction, I guess.
so sir, can you see my face?
Yes, I can
Now
see
I
you
can see.
guys.
Now I can see. Now I
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I've been coaching, a few CEOs of the organization, and one gentleman which I've coached him. It's a huge transformation what this gentleman has gone through. He's been into finance. He was heading the finance, and suddenly the MD quitted. So they promoted him to become the MD of the organization. And then he in fact went to somebody, and they recommended that you can go to Siri and she can coach you. So very, very open, and I really respect that. When people come and say, "Look, I am very good in finance and numbers, but when it comes to people, it's a little difficult for me to get along with it, and I want to create a very good team." And it's almost like 3 years I've been with him, and then slowly we started using the ancient Indian wisdom. What we started, the first aspect was to help him to connect to his own power within himself, and that's one of the most beautiful aspects which we really use, as a part of coaching, doing that part and every moment. And he was such a wonderful student and wonderful seeker, I would say. He has practiced absolutely being in that state as we go with 21 days, but he says, I'm living out of that state, I don't need to practice it anymore. And I also happened to interact with his team, and that was a part of the contract when we entered, just to understand how the stakeholder coaching would go. And every one of them said that this person has changed a lot, and that was the feedback when we got. It was so amazing to listen to him. He was himself feeling, oh God, I never thought I could be such a people's person. And in his heart he was a people's person. But then you do not have the, sometimes you are in, if you are too much in numbers and being a chartered accountant, then people are sometimes missed. So he says, in my heart I'm that. He says he gives a lot of, works with a lot of orphanage, does gives a lot of donations though, but then when it comes to interaction, it was very different. And one of the things what he learned in interaction, which I really want to share with every audience, he said, he said, I've got two children. And whenever I'm going out with both these kids, whatever I will tell that this is what we will eat today. And my younger son would say, okay, dad, whatever you say is good. And so my elder son would always say, no, dad, I want to see the menu. And he says, in my heart, these two kids are mine, but I would really get irritated at why he was wanting to see the menu when I'm ordering and younger son is not doing it. So he said that, and when we understood this whole aspect of understanding the mental thinking patterns and going through the whole process, and I was doing coaching for his one of the team members, and suddenly he got awakened in the end of the session, and he says, Siri, it's such an awakening for me. I never realized that my two children are also individuals. How can I expect them to do what I am doing? And from that day onwards until date, he says, I see them individual. I have a lot of respect for my elder son. He's a great musician. He plays everything on his own. That's amazing. He's a very
Wow.
good learner. He says, I don't want them to come first. If the teacher says they want to come first, he says, I don't want them to come first. I want them to be good human beings, and that's what I learned from you. How can I help them to be good human beings? And the another aspect of the coaching was learning to so much what he learned, and he himself getting transformed with the whole process. He was able to convert the company into profits within 6 months period of time, and that was a big thing which he got recognition from all over the world. It was a European based company, and I think that was very, very beautiful, what he did.
Very
And
powerful.
of course, then there are many other, it was really nice. And today he always says, Siri, it's all because of you. I said, no, it's all because of you, because you have wanting to explore your own potential. You're wanting to connect to your deeper self. And he said, my purpose is to help people today to go to the next level. And that's, imagine a person who's coming from a background of finance and all the numbers, and today he says, my purpose is to help people to grow. So just how the whole paradigm shift happens when you help them to really get in touch and undergo that whole process of transformational coaching, and with that piece of interactional excellence. And he says, my team is with me except I think one or two people. Everybody is retained with him all these 3 years. Not even a single person is left. So that was something very, very beautiful which I experienced with him. Right, it was so beautiful.
That, that's so wonderful. And even I can vouch for this because I have, whatever you've just, taught me also. When I applied it to my clients, I could see immense transformation in people. I mean, they were just changed, turned around completely. So very, very powerful. I know that.
Absolutely.
And as the time is also, up, so would like to thank both of you for this, immense knowledge that you've shared on all of us. And as in the beginning, I was saying that the episode is going to be exciting and enlightening. So I knew it because I was too excited. So exciting has to be there. And then enlightening, I knew that whatever will come out of your mouth is going to enlighten the whole world who all are, watching us right now. So thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, sir,
Thank you. Thank you.
for
Thank you
this
so much. Thank
opportunity.
you. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.